Hare Krishna, dear friends. Our today's class number 8 is values, qualities to achieve Krishna. In different scriptures, Krishna describes here and there number of qualities which he likes, which he wants us to develop. Particularly in Bhagavad Gita, a lot of qualities are described. Srimad Bhagavatam Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, etc. etc. I will leave here on this slide the numbers of the shlokas. If you want, you can find them on the internet and read. What we're gonna do today with you, we're gonna take Bhagavad Gita itself and discuss some qualities from some chapters, and precisely we will do the chapter number 16, the divine and demoniac qualities. So let us see. For example, in Bhagavad Gita, in the chapter 10, shlokas 4 to 5, he describes the quality and he says that from me alone arise the varieties in the qualities among the humans. And here we can see both good or bad qualities. They are all created by Krishna. Also, what we have to know that he separates the intelligence, what we use to think the best quality of a human being, like to achieve some higher knowledge, and the actual knowledge. In the purport of this shloka, Prabhupada tells us, intelligence refers to the power to analyze things in their proper perspective, and knowledge refers to understanding what is spirit and what is matter. We have to know this difference because what Krishna speaks in Bhagavad Gita, it is not a knowledge which pertains to the IQ level. It is knowledge, a wisdom, a vijnana, what has to be realized by constant practice of Bhakti Yoga, as he says that in the 18th chapter, shloka number 55, Bhaktya Mam Abhijanati. So, one can know me by Bhakti only. Even so, he gives all these qualities, and we have to admit it and develop those qualities. However, we cannot develop them artificially. For example, in the chapter number 13, famous shlokas 13.8 to 12, they will be giving the shloka 3 together. He gives a lot of qualities here, and what he says actually. In this chapter also the kshetra and kshetrajna is described, and in purport we can find that to gain knowledge of the kshetra and kshetrajna is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is different. The knowledge what Krishna proposes to gain is different from the intellectual knowledge from or bookish knowledge from university or whatever knowledge we get in our material mundane level of life. Spiritual knowledge that Krishna is talking about requires purification of the heart. And those 5 verses describe the virtues, habits, behaviors and attitude that purify one's life. So, if we can read all those qualities all over the scriptures and we want to develop them, what we have to do? We cannot wake up and say, okay, let me today develop the, let's start amanitvam, humbleness. And we will be trying to develop it, applying willpower and etc. Yes, we can do this. Actually, it is a good way to start. However, to develop those qualities, we have to apply some spiritual practices and exercises, such as chanting the holy names. The qualities will be revealed from within our heart when we will purify our heart, and as it said in Shikshashtakam, Chetodarpanamarjanam, when we will purify our mirror of the chitta, of the mind, those qualities will shine on itself. But still, we can apply our willpower to develop those qualities. Let us see what are those qualities. They are humbleness, freedom from hypocrisy, non-violence, forgiveness, simplicity, service of the Guru, cleanliness of body and mind, steadfastness, self-control towards the objects of the senses, dispassion or detachment, absence of egotism, proper perception of birth, death, old age, disease, and evils and faults, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, spouse, home, even-mindedness toward desirable and stressful situations, a constant devotion toward God, living in the solitary places, aversion towards the mundane society, and constant development of the spiritual knowledge and desire for the spiritual realization. So, once again, Krishna declares this as a knowledge, because by developing those qualities, one may perceive from within the real knowledge. As Krishna says, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam. So it is not that this knowledge will come from the outer space or from our mundane level of life, from the material information. No, only by developing those qualities, the real knowledge, the real wisdom, or we can say the Tattva Jnana, the knowledge of the supreme truth, will come only when we develop those qualities. So once again, the knowledge what Krishna calls knowledge is different from the information what we have within this society, what we receive on our material level. Also, a few shlokas I would like to put here from chapter 14 and chapter 12, where Krishna says that by developing such qualities, one rise above the three gunas. Let us see how we can rise above the three gunas. What qualities we have to develop? Those are to be alike in happiness and distress, established in self, look upon gold, stone as an equal, as of equal value, remain the same amidst pleasant and unpleasant events. Have the intelligence, it means to develop the buddhi, who accepts both blame and praise with equanimity, remain the same in honor and dishonor, and treat both friends and foe alike. So, by developing those qualities, we can rise above the three gunas. Once again, those qualities will be developed within the time when we do a spiritual practice. Let us see another shloka in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 12, to shlokas 13 to 14. What qualities should we possess to be very dear to Krishna? Free from malice toward all living beings, being friendly, compassionate, free from attachment to position and egotism, equiposed in happiness and distress, ever forgiving, ever contented, steadily united with me in devotion, self-controlled, firm in conviction, and dedicated to me in mind and intellect. So, those are just few examples of the qualities what Krishna loves, likes, creates, and would love us to develop. Once again, there are many qualities. We can find the qualities of Mahajanas, the qualities of Sthita Prajna, qualities of Gunatita, qualities of the Supreme Bhakti, etc., etc., Atmarama qualities in Srimad Bhagavatam. So you can go there and review them. And now what we will do with you, we will see the chapter 16, Daiva Sura Sampad, the divine and demoniac nature. Let me start with the reading of the shlokas 1 to 3 from the chapter 16, describing the divine natures. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, fearlessness, purification of one's existence, cultivation of spiritual knowledge, charity, self-control, performance of sacrifice, study of the Vedas, austerity, simplicity, non-violence, truthfulness, freedom from anger, renunciation, tranquility, aversion to fault-finding, compassion for all living entities, freedom from covetousness, gentleness, modesty, steady determination, vigor, forgiveness, fortitude, cleanliness, freedom from envy and from the passion for honor. These transcendental qualities, O son of Bharata, belong to godly men, endowed with divine nature. We will come back to those shlokas in few moments, but first let me read the shloka number 4, the demoniac qualities. Pride, arrogance, conceit, anger, harshness, and ignorance. These qualities belong to those of demoniac nature, O son of Pritha. If we can see, they are only 6 qualities, but the good qualities, what was described before, they are like 25. So our life is much more filled with good qualities. However, the power of the bad qualities, of the negative qualities, is so strong that it can ruin our life. So basically, what is the difference between suras and asuras? Those of the demoniac qualities, asuras sampad, and demigods qualities, suras sampad. If you can see on this funny picture, they are both spiritual, right? The man asks, I'm spiritual, and lady asks, be more specific, demons are also spiritual. So we know that demons, who are actual demons, who live especially in Vilaswarga, we know that there are 14 planet system above the Bhumandala, Bhur Bhuva Swaha, and the 4 lokas beyond this Bhur Bhuva Swaha, which are Tapajana, Maha, and Satyaloka, and below the Bhumandala there are 7 demoniac planets, which are Bila Swarga, and they are called Bila Swarga. Swarga means paradise, right? So the development of lives in the Bila Swarga is very high. It is higher than on the Bhumandala, specifically in the Bharatavarsha, in the planet Earth. And it is called that demons are very spiritual. They can do such tapasya, such austerity, that even sometimes the demigods cannot do. What is the difference between demons and demigods? The difference is about that they count on themselves alone. They do not count, they every time compete with God. And by competing with God, they develop these qualities. As we see, pride, arrogance, conceit. Conceit, abhimana, means also like a pride. Krodha, anger, harshness, ignorance. Also, in Bhagavad Gita, in the following shlokas of this chapter, the asuras described very similar to us. Let us see just briefly what Krishna speaks about asuras. So from shlokas 6 to 20, the asuras are described. Listen carefully and try to review your own nature. So Krishna says, those who are demoniac do not know what is to be done and what is not to be done. Neither cleanliness, nor proper behavior, nor truth is found in them. They say that this world is asatyam, unreal, with no foundation, and no God in control. So they are basically atheists. They say it is produced of sex desire and has no cause other than lust. And we know that the material desire, the lust, is a very prominent quality, especially in Kali Yuga. It is said in Srimad Bhagavatam that in Kali Yuga the demons from the lower planets appear in the families on the Bhumandala, because Kali Yuga is a very convenient time for demons to develop, to spread their opulences, their powers, so they are able to appear on the Bhumandala itself. And we can find, actually, we can realize in those two shlokas, what I just read now, that it is actually all of us who are karma people, who do not consider God as supreme. We cannot distinguish really what is good for us to do and what is bad. Our buddhi is totally deprived from the power of discrimination. And Krishna tells even more to us that demoniac people, they believe in sense gratification as a prime necessity of the human civilization. Thus, until the end of life, their anxiety is immeasurable. They are bound by a network of hundreds and thousands of desires, and absorbed in lust and anger. Let us see what Krishna also says, how the demoniac person thinks. So he thinks, so much wealth do I have today, and I will gain even more tomorrow. So much is mine now, and it will increase in the future more and more. He is my enemy, and I have killed him, and my other enemies will also be killed. I am the Lord of the universe. I am the enjoyer. I am perfect, powerful, and happy. I am richest and surrounded by aristocratic relatives. There is none so powerful and happy as I am. I shall perform sacrifices. I shall give some charity, and thus I shall rejoice even more. This way, the demoniac person thinks. Have you recognized a little bit of your nature? Yes. So, demoniac people, they are enjoying this life. They are full of sense enjoyment. And from the sense enjoyment, actually the sense enjoyment is possible because of ahankara, because of the wrong self-identification with aham and mama. Aham means identification with the body. Mama means identification with everything what belongs to body. Home, wife, children, richness, money, work, and all the other mundane things. And thus, when we identify ourselves more and more with the power of ahankara, we develop those demoniac qualities, because if I want to enjoy, I will certainly develop the pride. From Patanjali Yoga Sutra we know that there are 5 kleshas which arise from the contact with ahankara: avidya, asmita, raga, dvesha, and abhinivesha. Klesha means poison or any material problem. So what are they? Avidya, ignorance; asmita, egoism; raga, dvesha, attachment and aversion; and abhinivesha is the fear of death. And everything comes from this wrong self-identification with ahankara. And those material qualities, the demoniac qualities, arise from the contact with ahankara, because if I want to enjoy my senses, I will definitely develop the negative qualities, because ahankara itself means to be enjoyer myself, to do not share the joy, to do not serve. I want that everyone serves me, because the concept of the material enjoyment is limited. I think if I do not get the pleasure, all pleasure, what I need, what I want, someone else will get. But this is a wrong, limited material concept. In a spiritual concept, the pleasure itself is unlimited. So, why I have to develop and put efforts to develop those so many qualities which we have read before and we will discuss now? Because it is difficult to develop, I have to put a lot of efforts to develop them. And Krishna answers these questions here. He says, the transcendental qualities are conducive to liberation, whereas the demoniac qualities make for bondage. Do not worry, O son of Pandu, for you are born with the divine qualities. So Arjuna is lucky. We can see that he was born with divine qualities, and it does not pertain to him particularly, but it pertains to all of us. Sometimes people think, it's okay, I will get some karma, no problem. But what Krishna says, that we will never get liberation if some asura, demoniac quality will be still within us. And also the very famous shloka of Bhagavad Gita 16.21. Trividham narakasyidam dvaram nashanamatmanaha kama krodha tatah lobha tasmad etatrayam tyajet. There are 3 gates leading to this hell: lust, anger, and greed. Every sane man should give this up, for they lead to the degradation of the soul. And we know, if we do not develop our qualities to the higher level, we will definitely slide down. Because if there is no regress, there will be progress, and if there is no progress, there will be regress. Because human nature and all nature is movable, and it never stays on one spot. If you do not put efforts to develop yourself, you will definitely regress. So, now what we're gonna do? We're gonna take one by one those qualities, good qualities, and we will describe them. What I want you to do now, follow me please, and after all, choose few qualities what you would like to develop right now in the, let's say, in the following months. Take the qualities what you would like to develop in the following year and take some qualities what you want to develop within this lifetime. So maybe you have just a little bit to develop your charity. Maybe you just can go and give. But maybe for some qualities like truthfulness, it will take a year. And maybe for some qualities like freedom from greed, it may take a whole lifetime to develop these qualities. So I want you to contemplate with me now on these qualities and make a task for you. So let us start one by one. So first quality is fearlessness. In a class number 5, the mind power, we spoke about fear, and we told that the fear, and originally the fear of death, because all the fears will start from the fear of death, appeared almost as the first emotion in the material universe, because when material universe was created, and the spiritual soul, when he had to come to the material universe and to become covered with the material shells, the first emotion he got is a fear, because he loses the memory of his supreme nature, he becomes limited, and thus the fear of death is ever existing in our subconscious mind. So this fear is a supreme, and it is installed as a software within each and every one of us. And real fearlessness, we can achieve only by self-realization, by being fully convinced that Krishna is the supreme possessor and that he will take care of us at any moment. So it is a supreme, total surrender to Krishna. The people, maybe you're lucky and you have seen such people who are really fearless, but not boldly fearless like some bravery. I'm not talking about this, and Krishna is not speaking about this, but real fearlessness, like being totally convinced in God's plan. And in Srimad Bhagavatam also it is said that influence of the Supreme God is felt in the time factor, which causes fear of death due to the false ego of the deluded soul who has contacted material nature. So if we review the shloka, fearlessness comes when we gain knowledge of God, of self, and of our relationship with God. And thus we can separate ourselves from minds, from ego, and with the time we can develop a quality of fearlessness, abhayam. Another quality, sattva samshuddhi, purity of mind. So what does it mean to have a pure mind? From class number 5, mind power, we had this mind formula. You remember this? It is also from the Bhagavad Gita. And you remember mind formula. M stays for mighty, I stays for intoxicated, N stays for nomadic, and D stays for disobedient. Those are the qualities of mind, and they are very well developed if mind is attached to senses. And we spoke in that class that we have to shift the attachment of our mind from senses to buddhi. And because mind itself is very mighty, balavat, and if it will be attached to the proper aim, it will be purified, as we said from the Shikshastaka, Chetadarpanamarjana, and also in Yoga Sutra Patanjali says Chitta Vritti Nirodha, we have to control our mind. And we discussed the pranams method, how to control our mind. Pranams, you remember, Let me remind you the pronouns method: practice, replace, abstain, neglect, right association, mantra meditation, and scriptural intelligence. So, by these methods, I can develop my sattva, samshuddhi, purity of mind. Next quality is jnana yoga yavasthiti. What does it mean? Jnana yoga, it is receiving the knowledge. Vyavasthiti is being steadfast, steady in our desire to receive the spiritual wisdom. We can also call this quality as a swadhyaya. We should never abandon swadhyaya in our life. Next quality is dhanam, charity. So it refers to giving one's possessions for a good cause. And there is a charity described in 3 gunas in Bhagavad Gita. Let us review those qualities, the charity in those qualities. The charity is that which is done not with a feeling of superiority, but with a sense of gratefulness to God for the opportunity to help. This is a true charity. Material charity done for the welfare of the body helps others temporarily. In spiritual charity, done at the platform of the soul, helps eliminate the cause of all sufferings, which is separation from God. Consequently, it is considered higher than material charity. And we know that from Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Jnana, yagya, dana, tapa should never be abandoned. Yagya is a yagya and offering, dana is a charity, and tapa austerity. We discussed this in the previous class, number 7, the power of discipline. Next quality is dhamma, control of senses, self-control. And this means that we have to control our mind, as we said before, by restricting our senses. And especially Prabhupada mentions the householder's life. Because for the householders, it is the only one ashram where the sense enjoyment is allowed. But still, he mentions that if that sense enjoyment comes for the enjoyment itself, it is a demoniac quality. There are specific restrictions for the householders also in the sex life. And sex life is allowed for the propagation of children only, because the whole varnashrama dharma is established for to gain the spiritual knowledge and self-realization. But by indulging into the sex life, there is no spiritual self-realization. So here we can say that control of senses means forsaking the lower sensual pleasures for achieving the higher goal. Next quality is yajna. Once again, dana, tapa, yagya, swadhyaya should never be abandoned. And the following qualities are also swadhyaya and tapa. So let us see what are they. Yajna is performing of sacrifices, or basically it means also offering. And Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that you have to make the whole your life as an offering to me. Yajna artha karma. So make everything as a yajna. Vishnu is called Yagyayeshvara. His name is Yagya itself. The whole world appeared into being because of Yagya and Tapa, and it is prescribed duty for us to make the offering of everything to Krishna. As he says in the chapter number 9, Yat karoshi yadasnasi yad juhoshi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunte yat tat kurushva madarpanam. So everything should be performed as an offering to Krishna. And the best yagya, we also discussed it in the class number 7 in the topic of the Yuga Dharma. The yagya for the Yuga Dharma is the chanting of the holy name. It is called Sankirtana Yagya, and it is beneficial for the people of Kali Yuga. So, Yuga Dharma Nama Yagya. Next quality is Swadhyaya, studying of the sacred books. Swadhyaya helps us to develop the taste for the chanting the holy names. Swadhyaya and Sadhu Sangha are the first steps for us to climb on the ladder of 9 steps ladder of the bhakti. We know they are Shraddha, Sadhusanga, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivriti, Ruchya, Sakti, Bhava and Prema. And Svadhyaya means when we try to develop our spiritual mentality, we start with the scriptures. We read scriptures, we read biographies of the exalted people, spiritual people, and we participate. We choose carefully our association, which is sadhusanga, and so with the time we can develop a taste for the spiritual practices, because in the beginning we are the misers. We do not have anything for the spiritual life. It takes a lot of willpower to do this, and Svadhyaya is a necessary quality for us to develop, and with this quality we can develop the taste for all the spiritual practice. Tapa, austerity, of course, that is one of the most important qualities, and the whole class number 7 was dedicated to tapa, so please you can go to the previous class and watch that video. We discussed the discipline, the power of discipline, tapa and sadhana, because all our life, until we get a natural taste for the holy names, for the chanting, for the spiritual exercises, the whole our life gonna be a life, an application of the willpower, and those austerity is one of the most important qualities to develop. Next, arjavam, or simplicity. As Prabhupada said, simple living, high thinking. This is very important. One should not accumulate more than necessary. One should not eat or sleep more than necessary. One should not perform more material karmas more than necessary. Just enough to stay in this body. Just enough food to stay in this body, enough activities, and all the other time should be dedicated to spiritual realization. Ahimsa, one of the main qualities which is stated in Yama Niyama rules. Those are 10 rules in Yama Niyama. And ahimsa is a basic quality what we have to develop in the beginning of our spiritual life. Ahimsa means to do not hurt anyone in this life. Every living entity should not be hurt by us. Ahimsa means that we should not check anyone's progressive life, and because animals also make some progress, and we should not check it. And of course, the most important rule which pertains to ahimsa is to be vegetarian. But ahimsa also pertains to do not hurt by your words, by your actions, and by your thoughts. Next quality is satyam, truthfulness. This word means that one should not distort the truth for some personal interest. And Prabhupada mentions especially that truthfulness should be about the spiritual study. We have to follow our spiritual master, and we should read Bhagavad Gita as it is, because it is very important for the true spiritual development. What kind of philosophical concept we get in the beginning of our spiritual life. So truthfulness is important in a daily life, and also it pertains to the concept of philosophy. Akrodha, absence of anger. We know that trividham narakasyadam, lust, anger, and greed, kama, krodha, and lobha, and one who can check his anger. He is sure to develop the other good qualities. It is also should be mentioned that anger, lust, and greed are the products of the guna of the Raja Guna. So one should increase the quality of material life in order to avoid these negative qualities, the development of these negative qualities. Next quality, divine quality of divine nature, tyaga, renunciation. And speaking about renunciation, we have to know the 6 qualities of Bhagavan. He is the most powerful. He has full fame, wealth, knowledge. He is the most beautiful. And after all, he is the most renounced. So we have to learn from Bhagavan himself. But also we have to see what is the real tyaga. And the real tyaga is described by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. It is said, Anasaktasya Vishayan Yatha Arham Upayunjitaha Nirbanda Krishna Sambande Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate. What does it mean? That the best Vairagya means Anasaktasya Vishayan, to do not be attached to material things, but at the same time Yatha Arham Upayunjitaha, use everything for the Krishna's satisfaction. Nirbandha, once again, being detached from the material things and desires. And Krishna Sambandhe, being attached to the desires and Krishna's liking. So Prabhupada also said that when he came to United States, he didn't have any money that time, but Krishna gave him everything, and he used it properly for the service of Krishna. So we do not have to consider ourselves as the enjoyers of this material life. We consider ourselves as the servants of Krishna, and that everything belongs to Krishna. Krishna told in Bhagavad Gita that Bhaktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarva Lokamaheshwaram, that he is the supreme enjoyer, the supreme controller, and the supreme benefactor, well-wisher of everyone. So Tyaga, basically, we can have whatever Krishna sends us, but we have to use it for his satisfaction. So next quality is Shanti, peacefulness. Shanti, or mind Shanti, right? The cultivation of virtue requires mental poise. Peacefulness is the ability to retain inner equilibrium. And we know from Bhagavad Gita that Krishna says everywhere that a person who is sthita prajna, he is equally equiposed to the dualities of this material life, Shitoshna Sukha Dukkha, we know that Sthita Prajna is equal to such dualities as cold and heat, honor and dishonor, and he equally perceives the gold and stone, and etc. etc. Next quality, apaishanam, restraining from fault finding. Isn't it good qualities for Kali Yuga to develop? We are all trying to find the faults in the other in order to increase our self-estimation in our own eyes. We are trying to be the best among the friends, among the colleagues, among our maybe wherever we are in a family, sometimes among the brothers and sisters, and sometimes people, in order to increase their own value, they try to decrease the other's value. So Paishanam, we should restrain from fault finding in the other, and better to compare our own self to our own self in the previous days. So competition should be healthy, and we discussed competition in our class number 1, the competition in society. And Apaishanam, it is to be aware of your own qualities, develop your own good qualities, and do not disturb the others with finding the faults in them. Next quality is Daya, compassion. And Daya, compassion, means toward all living beings. Daya is a quality which will be naturally developed when we develop the spiritual essence of ourselves. Because when we see that some being suffers, we cannot passion it. We are gonna help that being. And of course, once again, to do not hurt, but to help. Next quality is aloloptvam, the absence of greed or avarice. And once again, trividham narakasyadam, kama, krodha, lobha. And the opposite word of lobha is aloloptvam, the absence of lobha. And greed, lust, and anger arise from Rajaguna. They accumulate, greed accumulate on the base of the desires, and as a fire can never be extinguished by pulling the ghee into that fire. The same the desires, the quantity of the desires could never be checked by developing new and new desires. So lobha for the material gains should be checked in order to develop spirituality. Mardavam, gentleness. It means to behave with the others very compassionately and very kindly. Again, to do not hurt anyone. And the Bhaktivinoda Maharaj told in his lecture that the softness of the heart will be an indication of your spiritual advancement. Next quality is Hri, which means modesty. Modesty means that I do not dare to do something which is against the spiritual injunctions or against the moral rules of society. This is a logical question which we develop upon developing the spirituality. Hri also means shame. I am embarrassed to commit any action which is abominable. Achapalam, or determination, firmness. That means that one should be fixed and not agitated in his attempts, especially spiritual attempts. There may be failures in some attempts, and Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that any action is covered by some difficulties, like a fire is covered by the smoke. But we should not stop upon seeing any difficulties, because if we want to make a progress, we have to be patient and determined. Next quality is teja, vigor. From purity of mind comes a deep inner drive, and saintly people bring immense power and vigor to tasks, what they pursue. So vigor or enthusiasm in the beginning of our spiritual path, especially when we just come into some spiritual organization and start some spiritual practice, we may have a lot of enthusiasm. But with the time, this enthusiasm should be fixed and very well developed. So by having this strong enthusiasm on the level of nishtha, when we perform some activity with the quality of nishtha, which is constantly and being fixed in it, and being enthusiastic, having this tejas, having this energy to perform it, and this is also the quality which will be developed along with the development of spirituality. Kshama. Kshama, forgiveness. And in Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, Kshama is mentioned many times, because it is one of the most important quality which we should develop in the beginning, and most probably it will be a task for the whole life of our development. Kshama is ability to tolerate the offenses of others without feeling the need to retaliate. Through forgiveness, one heals the emotional wounds caused by others that would otherwise fester and disturb the mind. And we remember once again Shitoshna Sukha Dukkha Mana Upamana. Mana Upamana means that Sthitadhi Sthita Prajna is equally disposed to Shitaushna, cold and heat, and Mana Upamana, to honor and dishonor. Because a person who do not really self-identify himself with the mind and does not play any roles, he can distinguish his real personality and separate it from the mind. Only within the mind all the patterns are contained, and offense could be taken by a person who identifies himself with some role he plays, and with some role which he established in his mind. But real spiritually developed person will naturally feel compassion and will naturally forgive the other peoples, and actually it will not be possible to offend him. He will and forgive and do not take offense. So we are almost at the end. For more qualities, Dhriti, the fortitude. What does it mean? Sri Aurobindo said, you have to be more persistent than the difficulty. There is no other way to achieve. So we have to be very determined. And we know that sometimes people step back almost on the last step before to achieve the goal. Some people get tired and get lost and they lose their determination. But there is also another advice. If you started something, you have to complete it. So, fortitude pertains to this rule. You have to be determined. If you have chosen some path, you have to complete it. Shaucham, cleanliness. One of the Yama rules, cleanliness pertains to the internal and external cleanliness, purity. We have to keep clean our body, our thoughts, our speech. Next quality is adroha. It is freedom from enmity. And we know, if we hate someone, if we envy someone, if we bear enmity toward other persons, it poisons our own mind. So any negative quality, any negative emotion, first of all, poisons our own minds and hearts. So, to do not bear the enmity in our own selves, we have to learn how to forgive. And once again, about forgiveness we spoke in the class number 1. You can go there and we discussed a technique about forgiveness there. Finally, the last quality is naati manita, not expecting honor, the absence of vanity. Because such qualities as striving for honor, self-praise, ostentation, they are all stem from pride. And saintly people, they do not think that they have something to be proud of. They better try to develop positive qualities and help the others. So, finally, once again, what I would like you to do here, we discussed with you the qualities, what Krishna likes, what he wants us to develop, the qualities of Gunatita, of Sthita Prajna, Mahajana, Sadhus, and etc. etc. And, as I said before, choose few qualities and discuss what would you like to develop immediately in the following months. Make a plan for the following year and make a plan for this lifetime. Those are approximately 25 qualities, what Krishna spoke in the chapter 16, in the topic of divine qualities. You can also review the other qualities in chapter 13, chapter 10, 40, or 12, and the other qualities as well. So, please be aware of the qualities you want to develop, be aware of the demoniac qualities, and chant Hare Krishna and be happy.